Alright, my YouTube family, welcome back to the Gaming Brigade, and as we roll into the weekend, my fellow agents, I wanted to share with you one of my favorite skill builds to use in the game, and even though certain items in this build were nerfed with the introduction of Title Update 22, it still happens to be one of my go-to builds in the game and something I use pretty much on a daily basis. Now we are going to jump right into the build breakdown. After that, I'll show you some gameplay footage. Now you can see on screen, starting with the specialization, I'm using Technician, and there happen to be three main reasons for that. First of all, you're going to get that extra skill tier. Secondly, it gives you an extra 12% damage to drones, skill proxies, and robotics. You also have the passive talent overclock CPU, which is going to give you an extra 10% skill damage as well. And remember, regardless of the specialization you choose, have the proper weapons activated in your weapon skill tree. That way you're getting a 15% weapon damage bonus regardless of which one you're using. And when it comes to the weapons themselves, I pretty much bounce between my primary and secondary. We'll go over both, obviously. Now, starting with the primary, it's the capacitor. In my opinion, it is easily one of the best weapons in the game, and that is because of its talent capacitance, where shooting enemies builds stacks to a cap of 40. Each stack is going to grant 1.5% skill damage, and not only that, for every skill tier you have equipped, you're going to get an extra 7.5% weapon damage as well, which means because I'm sitting at skill tier 6, I will be getting that extra 45% weapon damage when using this weapon. Now in the meantime, if you do not have this, I recommend using the test subject. It has the talent perfectly in sync and it can still get the job done. You can see with that talent, hitting an enemy grants 20% skill damage for 5 seconds. Using a non-shield skill or damaging an enemy with the skill will grant 20% weapon damage for 5 seconds as well, and damage increases are doubled while both buffs are active at the same time. Now when you're using this build, typically that talent is going to be running non-stop because you're constantly shooting enemies. Now my secondary is the Harmony Rifle. It also has the talent perfectly in sync. And for those of you out there who may not have any of the weapons I just mentioned, feel free to put any other weapon combination in its place with the regular talent in sync that can still get the job done. Now when it comes to the sidearm, and this is something I like to mention anytime I put a skill build video together, is you can see I'm using the TDI card custom and it does have a skill tier. However, for the record, that skill tier is only active when I'm actually holding the weapon, so please make sure you take that into consideration when you're putting this build together. Now moving on to the gear itself, you can see I'm running 1 Wyvern, 3 Empress, 1 Murakami, and the Waveform holster. Starting with the mask, it's the one piece of Wyvern that is going to give us that extra 8% skill damage bonus. Now before Title Update 22, that was 10%, but in my opinion, and again, please let me know your thoughts, I really don't feel a huge difference when I'm using this build. To be honest with you, there have been certain things in the game that I do feel that change, you know what I mean? But with this, I don't really feel it, right? So anyway, moving on to the body armor, it is the first of 3 pieces of the Empress International. We get that extra 10% skill health, skill damage, and 8% skill efficiency, and again that was decreased from 10%. And you can see I'm using the talent Kinetic Momentum. When in combat, each skill generates a stack while active or not on cooldown. Stacks increase your total weapon damage by 1.5% and total skill repair by 2%, up to 15 stacks per skill. And one thing I'm trying to do on every single piece of gear in this build is stack a combination of skill damage and skill haste and or skill duration everywhere I can. Now moving on to the holster, it's the Waveform. In my opinion, this is definitely one of those must-have exotics in the game. And for those of you out there who may not have this or the capacitor, they are in the general loot pool. I recommend hitting up Countdown, set your targeted loot accordingly. And as always, I wish you nothing but the best of luck. Now moving on to the knee pads, they are the one piece of Murakami. We're using Emperor's Guard, and I'm doing that for a few reasons. First of all, you get that extra skill duration, but I'm also going to get that extra 1% armor regen. And this build is kind of squishy, you know, so you're in cover a lot of the time, so that does help with your survivability. Which now takes us to the gloves and the backpack, which are the final 2 pieces of the Empress International. And when it comes to the skill on the bag, you can see I am using the talent tech support. Skill kills increase total skill damage by 25% for 25 seconds. Remember, my fellow agents, let the skills do the work with this build. And for this variation of the build, I'm using 2 of my favorite in the game, and they are the assault drone and the assault turret. However, feel free to put any combination here you like, my friends. Hope this video helped you out, and as always, questions, comments, or feedback, please let me know and I will do my best to get back to you as quick as I can. Most of you know by now that one of my favorite aspects about putting these build videos together is the family that we have here at the channel. So if you happen to have any tips or tricks you want to pass along to new and returning players, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. On that note, I'm going to leave you with some gameplay footage. I want to thank you all for your incredible support of this channel. Please let me know of any other questions you have. Thank you once again for the privilege of your time, and as I mention at the end of every one of these, take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, everyone.
down. Good job. You got the target. Nice. Target neutralized. Good work. Looks like you earned yourself another bounty. Well done.
Incoming hostiles detected.
Moving in.
Detected. Nearby location. Guarded by hostiles.